Okay, so in today's video, we're going to be replacing the servo in an Arrma Typhon. This can be if you just want to upgrade the existing servo or if the old servo went bad. So basically, the only tools you need is just going to be a 2mm hex head. So let's get to it. So the first screws that you're going to want to remove are this screw here, this screw here, and this screw here. Now, once you've done that, you can go ahead and remove the ESC out of the way, squish it out of the way. And now you can remove the waterproof cover over this box and remove the old servo wire and just go ahead and unplug it. Now, flip the buggy over. Now here, you're going to want to remove all of the screws that have a dot next to them, like this one, this one, this one, and this one. And then additionally, after that, you're going to want to remove this screw. So first, now flip the buggy back over. Keep in mind that all 4 of the dotted screws, this one, this one, this one, and this one, are all the same size. The only one that's longer is this one. Now, with the buggy back in the upright position, you're going to want to remove the 4 screws that hold the servo in. This one, and then there are 2 on this side, this one, and this one. Only 2 of the 4 screws have washers on them, so keep that in mind when you're taking the screws out. Now you can remove the 2 screws on the other side of the servo. Now, you can remove the servo entirely. You will see that it still has the old servo horn on it. This you can easily remove using your 2mm hex. Make sure you note the orientation of the horn on the servo in the central position. See how it is parallel with the sides of the servo. Now you can go ahead and install the new servo. I'm using a Flash Hobby IP67 waterproof brushless 45kg servo. I'll leave a link in the description if you'd like to buy it, but you're going to want to make sure that the cord comes out facing toward the drive shaft when you do this, and I like to go ahead and plug it into the receiver and get it all tucked into the waterproof box before I go ahead and screw it down. So I'm just going to do that first. Make sure that you are careful with the cord, because you don't want any cords underneath this when you screw it down, because it'll pinch them. Just so you know, you want a little bit of play. You want it to come out a little bit, but not too much. Because you don't want it to be so tight that it pinches it, but you also don't want extra cord hanging off. Okay, so now that you have the servo cord where you want it, you can go ahead and put the waterproof lid back on. For this, you're going to want to make sure that the seal is still firmly planted around in the edges. I'll go ahead and take a screwdriver and just press it down a little bit. Make sure the little gasket doesn't come out. And then you can place it on. Make sure again that the cords are down in the crack and that you're not going to pinch any when you screw this down. In order to screw this down, you do have to go ahead and put the ESC on. I like to wait until the end to screw the switch back on. So now, you're going to want to plug the battery in. Plug the battery in and power the car on. Now always you want to make sure that your servo is centered. So I'll just go ahead and right here on the remote set the steering trim to straight up and down. Now you can see that it is straight up and down. So that means the servo is centered. So now put the servo horn back on. You're going to want the servo horn like this, parallel with the servo. Try and get it as straight as you can while you're putting it on here. Alright, so now that we have the servo horn on and it's straight and parallel with the servo, which has been centered, because you went ahead and turned the car on and centered the servo. Now, just put the screw back in. Okay, so now you can flip the servo over. And put it back into place, making sure that the cord is coming out on the side toward the drive shaft. Looks good. Make sure you're not pinching any cords here in this little crevice, and you can go ahead and put the 4 servo screws back in. Just make sure you have a screw with a washer on each side. Don't put 2 non-washerless screws on the same side. Okay, now that the servo is back in place, you need to reattach this whole electronics console. So go ahead and flip the buggy back over. Now for this part, the electronics are just hanging loosely underneath here, like they have a tendency to fall. So what I just like to do is just go ahead and put this up in here, hold it up. On the underside, I'm holding up the electronics, and then I'll just wedge something in there to hold it up. There. Now, you want to make sure that this is on top of this right here. There. As you can see, inside of this hole, this is on top of this and not underneath it. Now, you're just going to reinsert the screws back into the same 4 holes. Again, all the screws are the same sizes, so it doesn't really matter. once those 4 screws have been inserted right here and right here, you can go ahead and take the last remaining screw, which should have a shim on it, and you're gonna go and inside this hole, try and line these up with each other. And now you can take this and screw it in there. Now, once this has been completed, you can go ahead and flip the buggy back over. You should see resistance now when you try and turn. So there, as you can see, it's a pretty simple installation. If I go ahead and turn the car back on, the new servo should be installed. Except I need to adjust the steering so that it will turn the opposite way, because this new servo turns opposite. So if I flip that, now it turns normally again. Alright, now let's go drive it. Alright, so now we have the fun part, the drive test. Whoa.